All right, welcome everybody. We are back. It's Zenith Online Racing. We're here for round 14 of Tier 1. It's the Singapore Grand Prix. A lot of guys love this track. A lot of guys hate this track. It should be a really fun qualifying session and one of the longest races of the season, time-wise. Just the length of the lap and how many laps they're there. Tends to run about 50 minutes, roughly. So, we're in it for the long haul tonight. Might need to take a few more vocal breaks than normal just to get through this thing, especially with how exciting this race can be as well. Mr. Sharpshooter out on track, hanging out in my Twitch stream earlier today. Appreciate that. Getting his Mercedes warmed up. Looks great under the lights here. Who else do we got out on track? Seabass, he's made it in. He's having some connection issues tonight, but managed to get the car sorted out for the session. Beck out on a out lap as well. Pretty much the whole field out there now. A few roster changes. We got Fusions taking the Racing Point seat. He'll be there for the remainder of the season. George Russell is Nathan, a.k.a. every other PSN name under the sun. He's got more names than Prince himself. Seems almost a weekly occurrence. He's got some new usernames, so now he's in the Williams under the George Russell name, but that's our championship leader, Nathan. Packer not here tonight. So we're going to ride with somebody else for the first hot lap of the session. Looks like we may have, who is Scavney out there? He's going to be the first guy across the line. Let's get on board with Scavney. It'll be our first hot lap of the session. The Alfa Romeo. So yeah, Packer in the chat actually. Just not home for the race, so he'll be watching with intent, hoping that George Russell bins it. I think you said this might be a race that you were probably capable of winning, like you were quicker here, or is this one of the ones he figured he'd beat you? Can't remember exactly what you said, but a yellow flag in Sector 3, obviously Scavney purple. Keeping it on the road, very important here. Last thing you need is a invalidated lap. The lap, a pretty long one, so you don't get too many runs here, and they're very easy to mess up. And turned in nice and early, hugging that wall, riding the curbs perfectly. Scavney's looking pretty sharp so far. See if that translates to a good time. You can get a little closer to the apex there, but not too bad. Just taking these curbs nicely on the inside as he turns in as well, so setup's looking pretty stable for him at the moment. You know, thinking a street circuit like this, one of the longer ones, he definitely needs some stability to have a good race, so bit of a lock up there, that's going to hurt him a little bit. Oh, a little bit of a snap there too, trying to recover some of that time. Turns in, gets that curb nicely, and it's a 35.7, so that's the marker. Who else do we have out here? Sharpshooter about to cross the line. What kind of time can he set here? 34.6 for Sharpshooter, so well ahead of Scavney. Got another car across the line. It's a Ferrari, I believe. Looks like they're just starting a flyer. Is this Seabass crossing the line? It is. He goes into P2. 35.4. Zamaglis with a 35.5. Beck with a 35.3. So time's starting to roll in here. Got Jinnit about to cross the line. He hasn't validated though, so that will not count. Looks like George Russell maybe about to cross the line, or is it Maverick? It's George Russell, 33.4, so well ahead of any time we've seen yet. 1.2 ahead. It's a benchmark for sure. Doth on a run, Puff on a run. Puff about to cross the line. He's invalidated though, so he'll have to go again. Doth, see what he can do coming through that bridge right now. Doth had a really good outing last week at his favorite track, Spa. He's had a pretty good run of races the last few times out, so See if Doth can build on that momentum. And so far, the fastest of the rest of the drivers, George Russell up at the top, a.k.a. Nathan, your championship leader. And Doth into P2 for the time being. So Doth continuing that form. Another good qualifying lap off the hop. Mr. Joshua now making his way through Sector 3. He's going to be crossing the line any moment. Oh, very close to the wall there. Using all the track. Turns in nicely on that curbing. And this looks like it's going to be a good time. 35.1 for Joshua. So P4 for the time being. Ahead of his teammate Durnia, who has generally been a bit of a quicker driver most of the season. So Joshua, I think, will be happy with that lap. Durnia is going to be looking for more out there. Wet race should be fun. Is it wet? T-Money. I did not get a weather update from anybody. Is it a wet race? I'd love to know. Like, T-Money is out on track right now, and I've probably distracted him. He's uninvalidated again, and so has Puff. So Puff heading in, I guess? Yeah. Eric's lap is clean, but it's a little off the pace. Well off the pace, actually. He's going into the pits on those mediums. Comes Maverick out of the pits. Janet is in the pits, so anybody out on track right now? No. Durnia? Durnia's invalidated. Joshua's not pushing. He's probably on an in-lap. Doth on an in-lap. So yeah, a little bit of a lull here in the action. Not much going on. I guess T-Money. This would be T-Money probably coming in, I would suppose. Yeah. Puff heading back out, it looks like. Or is he just getting put in? Maybe that's... Yeah, I think it is Puff just getting put in. So... Who's on an outlap right now? Sharpshooter. Scavney is well up the road, I believe. Scavney. Maverick and Janet. Smogless. Where's Zem? So it looks like Scavney going to be our next hot lap here. We've ridden with him already. But he'll be the next one across the line with anything meaningful. And then behind him, I believe, is Sharpshooter. So let's give Sharpshooter a little on-board action. Maybe, and then jump to Zamoglis at some point. We'll stick with Scavney for now until Sharpshooter crosses the line, and then we'll go check in with Sharpshooter and see how he's doing on board. It's a wet race. All right. Whoa, Scavney into the wall there. He will not be going for a flying lap now. He has completely destroyed the right side of his wing. So he'll be heading in the pits, which means our next hot lap's going to be Sharpshooter. And yes, it is a wet race, so we're going to wonder who's got a wet setup on. I imagine everybody does. Probably not too... It's probably not too different from the dry setup around Singapore regardless, but there'll obviously be a few differences. Sharpshooter taking us through this next hot lap of Singapore. This corner very important. You gotta... Oh, and he's obviously taking a little too much curb there, and the car did not rotate. You want to carry a lot of speed into this corner, which is very important for the DRS zone here. You want to be carrying as much momentum as you can through that apex to barrel down the straight. You're hard on the brakes here, and this corner, very tricky. Very easy to hit that wall on the exit. If you get a little too much curb heading in, you can sort of straight line it and end up in the barrier. So, Sharpshooter looking pretty aggressive here on this lap. He's very close to the walls, riding a lot of curb. Yeah, this looks like a really good sector here. Oh, wow, so close to the barricade. And then just kissing that apex, getting rotated nicely, gets on the throttle early. This is probably going to be a good sector. Yeah, he's up 6/10 so far, which is going to put him at a 34 flat once he finishes. If he can maintain this pace, a 34 flat, possibly into the 33s. So, looking like a really good lap here from Sharpshooter. I'll go check in with Zamoglis right after this. See how he's doing. Oh, he's invalidated it. Oh, no. Sharpshooter on an absolute flyer. And he's gone over the line and invalidated the run. So Zamoglis down a 10th. He's going to need to find a little more time to move up this grid. You can probably gain a couple places here if you find a 10th or two. Just looking a little hesitant on the throttle there. A little late on the turn-in. And does not improve. So he's down a 10th on his previous run. Just not looking great for Zem at the moment. Needs to find some more time so he can slide up the grid a little further. I think he's been mentioned in the chat that he hasn't really been playing this game much lately, so he's a little rusty. Here comes Puff with a 35 flat. That's a good lap from Puff. Puts him right into P5. Head of the Ferrari boys, just behind Zenith. So good run from Puff there. One of his favorite tracks. He's hoping for another haul of points tonight and hopefully a top 6 if he can swing it. Comes Doth, about to finish another flyer. See what he can do. Looking quick here, 34.3, so up a little bit on his previous run. Cements his P2, gaining a few tenths. Sharpshooter, though, a real threat if he can keep his lap clean. So Sharpshooter going to be one to watch, possibly challenging Doth for that P2. Comes Fuzz, he's on a flyer. I think he's full-time now in this AlphaTauri. There's a few roster changes over the previous week, so in general in the last few weeks. So Fuzz has invalidated there. He's gone over the line. Do we have anyone else on a flyer? Joshua on a flyer? Looks like he's severely down on his time, though. He's not pushing. Are the Fusions fans in the chat again? Full wet the entire race, apparently. Yeah, that's what they're saying in the chat. Scavney on another run here. So Scavney looking for some more time. I had that incident on the last lap he was trying to put on the board. See if he's a little more hesitant this time around. It's a little closer to that apex this run. T-Money getting out of the way nicely there. It's going to be a crazy race if it's wet. Anything could happen. Surely we'll see some safety cars as well. Here comes Scavney. He's kept it clean this lap. Pretty good turn in there. And it's a 35-1, so he's actually really not far off Puff's time, but he's 4 places behind. Or 3 places behind. Very tight through here. Zenith, 34-9. And then down to Zamoglis in 14th. So from 5th down to 14th is separated by half a second, roughly. That's pretty impressive. And it's a hard race to overtake at. We know it's going to be raining as well, so should make for a very interesting race. Strategy-wise, overtaking, battling-wise, you're going to be probably seeing some unconventional overtaking, just where other drivers are managing to find grip in corners like this, possibly down the end of this straight as well. You just get really good traction out of that exit. This could be a very good overtaking place. It's a little bit wide. There's enough room for a move here. So we could see a lot of good scraps tonight for sure. Eric trying to get a timed lap on the board. We're not going to see anybody really running on the... we're not going to really see anybody running on the mediums, I would suspect, given that everyone will be starting on wet tires. So only 2.5 minutes, or just under 3 minutes to go here. It's going to get pretty interesting because a lot of people are in the pits are on out laps now. Sean Burgess, Fusions is a shifter kart racer from Bermuda. Okay, I don't know if that's a fact or some kind of slander. I have no idea. Fuzz to win, eh? In the rain at Singapore? That's bold. That's quite bold. George Russell on an out lap here. He's getting ready. Keeping those tires really soft. Look how gently he's driving around here. Knows he's got plenty of time. He's only got time for one more run. Not going to push it. Just wants to make sure he conserves all the life he can in those tires. The Ferrari boys coming out. Dernia has got up into P2. He sort of sneakily did that. 34.3. It's a nice time from Dernia. So pretty much if you're in the pit right now, you got to be leaving at this moment or you're not going to get back around in time. Sam is in the pit. Scavney in the pit. These guys are really pushing it. They're not going to get back around if they leave now, I don't think. I think you're done. Oh, Scavney is leaving. Sam has left, so Sam got out. Scavney has left as well. Geez, Scavney. He just might make it around in time if he... Oh no, look at this. McLaren's got in the way. They'll never make it around in time now. They had to be on it right away. They'll never make it. Oh, it's so unfortunate. You can't block the hot laps, though. So, of course, you know, it's very understandable. Who is this pressuring Puff? Is that Jinnit trying to get a tow or something? It is. Jinnit on an out lap, though. So, Puff on an actual flyer here. Who is ahead on the road? I'm not too sure. Let's just ride with Puff. This is one of his favorite tracks. Let's see how he does here. This is his final timed lap of the session. Big walk up there, but carries a lot of momentum through this corner. Oof, so close to the wall there. Barreling down that straight now. See how much time he can find. He's up a 10th, so he needs a little more, but a 10th here will actually give him a couple places. At least for the time being. Perfect corner there. No curb, on the throttle nicely. No wheel slip. Uses all the track there. He just needs a good turn in here, and this could be a pretty good time for Puff. 34.7, so he jumps up into P6. That's a nice time. Fuzz has gone around. He has messed up his hot lap. He is in trouble there. Sam is up 9/10. That's going to put him at a 34 flat if he can maintain that, which will actually give him P2 at the moment. I know, so he's only up a 10th and a half. Okay. I'm saying 9/10 is pretty high. Like, see what Sam can do here for qualifying. I apologize to anyone who's missing their hot laps. I'm just trying to at least find someone on a meaningful lap to ride with. I've lost track of the order tonight. Just can't seem to keep my eye on who's where. And we stay with whoever we can catch on a flyer. Especially guys we don't see on camera too often. Usually get a lot of Packer action. He's out tonight, so I'm trying to mix it up a little more and give you some more hot laps. George Russell obviously on provisional pole by what's a second and a bit right now, so seriously doubt anyone's touching that time. Sam looking pretty tidy through Sector 3 here, though. You see a lot of skid marks there already from all the drivers walking up into that corner. A little bit of a step out on the back end there, but gets it saved and rotated nicely into the final turn. Sam up into P5. Nice time from Sam. Puff does not have time for another run. I think everybody's done except for Dernia, who's gone into the pits. Fusion's on a run. It's no good, though, and I think that's it for quali. That is going to be it. Scavney's done, and his time does not count. So George Russell takes pole. Doth back into P2, gets back ahead of Sharpshooter and Dernia. So Doth with another really good result here in qualifying, and that's going to help him in the race to secure potentially another podium. He'll be really happy with that. I think that'd be 3 in a row for him. Sharpshooter goes P3, Dernia P4, Sam P5, Beck P6, Puff's in P7, T-Money's in P8, Jinnit 9th, and Fuzz will be P10. Eric, Joshua, Scavney, Fusions, Seabass, Zamoglis, Ryan, and Alt Maverick round out the grid. And it's a wet race, so tires don't matter. Everyone on the same strategy tonight. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. Puff, a really good driver in the wet, though. Even after changing to the wheel, he still maintained some pretty good wet pace. And at a track that he loves, Singapore, could see Puff do some damage from P7, maybe capitalize on some mistakes ahead. Yeah, should be a really good race. We're expecting rain if you're just joining us for the Grand Prix, so that'll be a really fun time here in Singapore. It's a really tough track for overtaking, but what we're going to see is a lot of costly mistakes. If any mistakes are made, it will be dearly cost you dearly, I should say. The wall's very close here. There's not much runoff, so there's only a handful of corners you can get away with a mistake around here. And side by side with another car, you touch in the rain, you never know. Anything could happen, so keeping it clean is the name of the game. And should be a quick little break here. I'll be back in one moment. Hopefully nobody readies. And there's the rain there you see. I don't know if it's going to get heavier or lighter. Nobody's ready yet, so looks like we're still good. But yeah, big race for the championship tonight. Obviously, Packer not here, so Nathan, or aka George Russell, could do some serious damage here if he can secure this victory. We have seen him bottle a few easy wins this season, so I can't say for sure that he's got this one in the bag. Under a tremendous amount of pressure given the pace he had in qualifying there, so should be pretty easy for Nathan, aka George Russell, to sink his teeth into the championship title and get a stranglehold on it in the absence of Packer tonight. Any predictions for the race in the chat? Anybody here got any predictions? I still don't understand the comment about fusions. It was meant to be some kind of slate on them. Obviously, I think everybody on wet tires here is surprised to see anything. Oh, wait, sorry, everyone's on dries. Oh, wow. Okay. So, it's raining, but we're starting on dries. Everyone is starting on their qualifying tire then. Wow, but it's expected to be raining for the majority of the race. I mean, it looks like it's coming down a fair amount already. This is really going to shake things up. The fact that everyone's on dry tires here, I really don't know what to expect over the next few laps. This is going to be a really interesting start to the race. I mean, if it was raining like this in the race, I'd be considering going in for wet tires, I believe. At this, you know, you can see, like, he doesn't seem to have any grip. This is bizarre. Is he lacking grip already with the wetness? Yet they've all gone out on hard or dry tires? Oh, and he's touched the wall a little bit too. It's a very clumsy outlap. I'm not sure here. I'm not sure what we're going to see, but as I mentioned, this is a long race, and if it rains for the whole race and we get a safety car as well, we're looking at probably an hour from now this race being done. So if you're here for the Grand Prix tonight, Strap yourself in, it's going to be a long one. On that note, I need to top up my beverage. Yeah, we're going to be here a while. So, George Russell, Nathan, our championship leader, on pole again by a substantial margin here. Doth in P2. Another good run for Doth. Staring down the barrel of a potential podium once again. I think that'll be 3 in a row for him. He'll be extremely happy with that. We'll see if he can lock it up. And Puff Digital down at P7, going to try and support his teammate from back there. One of his favorite circuits. See how he does tonight in the mixed conditions. Durnia in P4, his teammate Joshua nowhere near tonight. Usually they qualify quite close together. And Sharpshooter in the Mercedes in P3, so a lot of contenders here tonight. George Russell, easily the favorite. We'll see if he can keep that lead and keep his car facing the right direction. Needs a big win here tonight, get a stranglehold on that title. We're about to go racing for round 14 of Zenith Online Racing. This is Tier 1. I am Arbeega. Let's get those lights fired up and let's get this thing underway. We have 3, 4, 5 lights on. And we are racing here in Singapore. Very slippery start for everybody. Look at all the cars trying to get out of the way of each other. We'll get to the back here, see if we can see any interesting action. No. It looks like George Russell got off to a really good start. He's well ahead here. Hard to get a good view at the moment. And everybody threw clean, it looks like. So, not sure if anybody made any big progress. Durnia got a place. Puff going down the inside here, making a move. Oh, lots of contact. He's got an old tank slapper on there, Puff. And he's down to P12 already. That is a big slide for Puff there. Oh, Eric with a Beck with a late move. Thinking of McLaren, Eric, but Beck making a move here. There's a late move there from T-Money as well. Gets a place. Oh, someone's off. It's Doth. Doth has gone off. Oh, someone's gone and missed the road completely there. Sam. Looks like Sam, yeah, he's lost all of his front, or sorry, was it not Sam? It's just someone else there. Someone had gone right off into the escape road, it looked like to me. He's got a yellow flag in Sector 2 still. Who is that? George Russell way out in front. It actually looks like Maverick may have been the driver that went off the road there. So George Russell with a 3-second lead already. That is madness. And Puff Digital making a move on Janet down the inside, and he's missed the corner. Puff in big trouble there. He's in a terrible spot. Wow, he's going to have to back out onto the circuit. Luckily, there's no one behind him, so he can get himself turned around. But the Renault boys having a disaster of a time so far here. And maybe the wet weather having an impact on these tires already. Just not enough grip for some of these moves that are being attempted. But, yeah, George Russell not struggling for pace at all at the moment. He is out front by 3.5 seconds already on the third lap. Actually, I believe it's the second lap. I do not think it's the third lap already. Yes, we do not have DRS, do we? No. I don't know what is going on. This game's timing is plagued with issues and has been since release. It's embarrassing that they haven't fixed it, in all honesty. George Russell with a penalty already, though, out front. So, obviously just being very liberal with the track limits with that pace he's carrying at the moment. Get back to the front here. Trying to figure out where the front is. We got some action here. Fusions and Sam side by side. Fusions getting that move done, but Sam back down the inside. He gets crunched into the wall. It was a squeeze from Fusions, but Sam really didn't have any business putting his nose in there, I have to say. He pretty much lost that position, and he was desperately trying to send it back in, and I don't think that was ever on. So anything that happened to Sam there would have probably been on him if you were to put the blame on any driver. Joshua, though, trying to hang on to Sharpshooter at the moment. One of those medium tires somehow got up into... No, this can't be right. The timing must be wrong again. Maybe not. I don't... Is Joshua actually P4? Yeah, I think he is. He started in, what, P12, I believe? Yeah, he's gone up 8 places already. That is absolutely insane. What a great start for Mr. Joshua. He's actually in a position to support his teammate now. Back on those tires. Not terribly important, so it's still raining here. We still have DRS enabled, I believe. Do we? Let's find out. See if we got DRS here. Yeah, it looks... maybe not. I don't know. Anyone see... Well, this is lap 3, so the DRS should be active now. I mean, that's what I was saying. I think the timing was a little off there. It was saying lap 3 on lap 2. So we should see DRS here. We do. Zenith with DRS on Sam. He's not really close enough, but Eric is close enough to possibly have a think about it. Got that slipstream advantage as well. He's getting covered off. Eric down the inside, though. Zenith squeezing in. Oh, he's made contact. Oh, I don't know if Zenith left enough space there or not. Oh, that's terrible news for Eric. And now he's relegated to the back of the field with Puff and Doth there. Oh, and he's struggling to get back on the track. Puff goes through. So Eric goes down the inside on Zenith, and Zenith just took that corner. I'm not sure he left enough space. I mean, it was... I would say it was like mostly his corner. He pretty much had the position, but I don't know if it was far enough alongside to warrant the close he made there. If he really, did he close the door, or was it Eric getting on the curbing that slid him into Zenith? I'm not too sure. He didn't have the greatest look at it, but nonetheless, Eric struggling at the back now. Zenith keeps the place, and he's all over the back of Sam here. Actually, under threat from Ryan here. He's Zenith. Did he pick up damage in that contact there, maybe? He seems to be struggling a little bit for pace at the moment. Here's Ryan really under pressure from his teammate Zamoglis. Here comes Zamoglis taking a look. Not close enough. Mr. Joshua is actually caught sharpshooter as well. Those medium tires working much better in these conditions. I think he's close enough for a look. Joshua taking a peek, but does tuck back in. Let's get back to the Sam and Zenith battle. Zenith not quite close enough, but Ryan is right on Zenith's tail now. And Zamoglis has just lost a little distance there as well. It wasn't quite close enough for a look. You can see Zenith really sliding around. He seems to be struggling a lot on the softs, and he is basically drifted through that entire section, it looked like. I don't think he actually had any grip there. He just had the car going the right way. Yeah, it seems that the grip's really falling away on these soft runners now. I don't think they're meant to last very long around here anyways, and yeah, in the wet weather especially, they seem to be struggling for temperature, but Scabney gets by Zem. Zem is always into the wall. Zem getting a little too punchy on the throttle there. So the conditions are getting a little trickier. Zem has gone into the wall, probably thought it was okay to put the hammer down, and oh, and he's completely lost it now. Yeah, he's completely lost his front wing. He has absolutely nothing left there. Get himself turned around. He's almost... Jeez. He's really struggling here. Let's get away from that. Yeah, he's struggling to get the car turned around. It seems like the tires are completely... It looks like these guys are diving in for wet tires now. I think that's a good call, because it looks like if you're on the softs, you've lost all your grip now. The mediums even are starting to look like ice skates a little bit. Yeah, T-Money's pit. Let's see what kind of tires he comes. T-Money for fresh mediums? I don't think that's a good idea. Is that... You think it's still dry tires? Is the softs are just falling off because of the length of their tire life, or is it the temperature and the weather? Jeez, I'm not sure. I would have put another set of dries on there. Doth onto the inters, I think, is a good shout. Let's check his interval there. He's 14.7 right now, and we'll keep an eye on that. Fusion's putting some pressure on Fuzz here. We've still got this battle going on with Sam, Jinnit, Ryan, and Scavney, so maybe we should stick with that at the moment. Doth maybe just a little early on those inters. Looks like he's consistently losing pace at the moment. Although if I was T-Money, I don't necessarily think I would have put dries on if I had pit. Until that DRS is disabled, though, we don't really know how wet it is out there. We're not seeing too much spray at the moment, are we? So there's not much standing water. So yeah, maybe Doth a little early on the inters there. Oh, Scavney, oh, down the inside on Ryan there. Woo, that is very tricky stuff there. Fuzz into the pit, so I'd assume going for wet tires? What do you guys think? I don't know. Zem gone onto the hards. The Doth is losing a lot of time on these inters. They just don't look ready. Zem's on the hards, though. I'm not sure that was the right call. Fuzz out on fresh medium. So, guys, just sticking with the dry tires. I guess it's just about being on the right tire at the right time. And if you had to start on those softs, which a lot of guys probably didn't plan to, you definitely would be struggling for grip at this point. Looks like Puff trying to stick it out a little longer. Obviously, talking to Doth, you would know those tires are not ready. Doth has basically lost an entire pit stop's worth of time already. That is awful for Doth. What happened to Maverick? Yeah, Maverick, I'll get you in shortly. I just don't want to... I'll wait till we got a few more gaps in the field because we got a lot of close battles. I don't want to... I get stuck in the stupid party menu for too long. Nobody will be able to see anything. But what happened there? I don't think I saw you actually DNF. Eric really applying some pressure to Puff here. Puff's trying to keep those softs alive. Oh, and he's just snapped the huge tank slapper there. And Eric can see that he's struggling for traction and just sends it. And Puff, begging for space, gets just enough. But he has no grip on those softs at the moment. So soft runner's in big trouble here. It looks like if they got to come in, they're going to have to slap another set of dries on. And, yeah, they're pretty much at the end of their life, these soft tires. What happened on your, oh, what's going on here? Scavney applying some pressure to Ryan, and Fuzz gets by Puff, who's gone into the pits for hard tires, it looks like. So maybe these guys kind of expecting this weather to hang up. 10-second penalty for Zamogos. Is that what I just saw? For corner cutting, perhaps? Was that? Yeah, that was a 10-second penalty. I'm assuming he missed and just cut a corner or something there. He does not look comfortable whatsoever, Zamogos. He's struggling hard. He's got no front wing again. He's all over the road here. Not entirely sure what is going on. Zamogos having a really rough go of it at the moment. Let's get back to Scavney and Ryan. And then T-Money is pressuring Eric as well. Everyone's still on dry, so yeah, guys on their fresh tires. Doth has given up on the inters, gone into the hards. So the medium runners might end up with the best strategy here if we do end up on wet tires. Could very well see... Could very well see these medium guys with the best strategy so far. What's going on here? Zimaglis is out. So Zimaglis is out of the session now, which is not terribly shocking, given the struggles he's had. I guess he's gone into the pits in DNF there. Looks like he is in the pit lane. So, are some guys going to wets now, or is it just the rest of the soft runners giving up on them? It looks like it. Yeah, Dernia's staying out. So Dernia can actually be a little protected by his teammate Joshua, but obviously he's going to be holding Joshua up in due time. So George Russell's pit for mediums is going to shake everything up a little bit now, or should see some intervals forming. Got Scavney on Ryan still. And he's coming for a move down the outside. Squeezes in. He's begging for space there, and Ryan has to yield it. Scavney gets that move done. What a great move there from Scavney. Actually, is he going to get it, though? Ryan seems to have better traction down the inside. And now they touch again. Oh, a little more contact. See Scavney just struggling to get the power down. Ryan gets a little nudge on the way through. And that's quite the duel we have going on there. And if the gap forms a little bit, should see Jinnit probably, he's applying the pressure. He seems to have these tires more warmed up right now than T-Money does. Jinnit down the inside, and he's almost missed that corner entirely, but just enough rotation to get back on the track, and he does a nice job getting by T-Money there with those slightly warmer, actually they're slightly fresher, so T-Money actually seems to just be struggling with the mediums at the moment, and Beck has gone through as well. So Beck trying to get a move done on T-Money, who is struggling, and he does get through. T-Money under a lot of pressure here with Sam, Ryan, and George Russell. What has happened there? One of them was ghosted, so something's gone on between them. George Russell maybe trying to get back in front of Ryan, who's not pit yet. Dernia's pitting on to fresh mediums, makes sense. George Russell on the fresh mediums goes through. And yeah, I would say Sam, the next guy, putting some pressure on Dernia coming out of the pits, though. Where is he going to end up? Just in front of Fuzz, it looks like. And he's really struggling to get the grip down at the moment. And Fuzz all over the back of Dernia here. Scavney gets passed by George Russell as well, so he's just picking off those guys on the old mediums at this point. Puff going through on T-Money now, or is T-Money pit? T-Money has pit. Okay, that makes sense. So T-Money's given up on the mediums quite early there. Or did he need a wing change, perhaps? I don't know. Maybe just can't get the temps in with the wet weather, perhaps? Not too sure, but T-Money's gone from mediums to hards there, so that's a bit of an odd strategy. Fusion's now trying to make a move on Sam. Sam has lost a bunch of his wing, it looks like, so Sam having some trouble. Yeah, Sam's struggling here. Been driving very well lately, but obviously not having the greatest night so far. Ryan applying some pressure to Scavney here. Let's get Maverick in here in a moment once we pretty much have all the gaps settled. Fuzz, so put some pressure on Seabass, who's ghosted probably due to his connection. Obviously not the stablest connection. What is that, a big piece of front wing on the track I saw there? The Seabass has dropped, it looks like. So Dernia now applying pressure to Eric, so every time I think that we have gaps, it just gets busy again. Now, here comes Dernia down the inside. Whoops, that's the wrong direction. There we go. Dernia gets the move done. Eric has to yield that, still on the older mediums. And Beck and Seabass. Beck is through. Eric has just been passed by Dernia, so I think the time is now. Shouldn't miss too much. Beck is close to Jinnit. Jinnit not having DRS here. Gonna have to fight Beck a little bit. But Beck's not gonna have a chance to get through there. Puff goes by Sam, who is in the pits. Obviously needed his wing changed. Oh, Jinnit with a big tank slapper there, and Beck is very close to making a move. Jinnit just seems to be struggling to get the car under control at the moment. So Jinnit just starting to spread the gap out a little bit, but here comes Sharpshooter attacking Ryan here on the fresh hard. So it seems the hards are working better overall. Everybody on the hard seems to have better pace at the moment and more grip. Oh, that's a bit of a late move. And Sharpshooter does get by Ryan there. Bit of an odd place for an overtake, but he made it work. I don't think anything too illegal was done there, but obviously Ryan would have preferred him to wait. Jinnit really under pressure. He just seems to be struggling with the grip overall. He gets away a little bit, and then he has a little bit of a moment. Beck trying to do everything he can to close in. Just not much juice left there for Jinnit. Seabass back online, it looks like. Beck applying pressure. Jinnit has DRS now, though, as he's closing on Fuzz. So that should neutralize it a little bit. Let's just do this now. I gotta be quick. There we go. All right. Did we miss anything? I don't think so. So Dernya, oh, you know what I got to do, though? I got to fix the audio real quick. George Russell looks like he's about to get by Joshua. George Russell gets by Mr. Joshua, retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. Sharpshooter now applying some pressure to Scabney. He's on those hard tires, so the hards seem to be working a little bit better in these mixed conditions right now. Seem probably just holding their temperatures in the carcass a little bit better. You see Dernya all over the back of Ryan back there as well, and he sends it down the inside. So Sharpshooter threw on Scabney, Dernya threw on Ryan. And the man that was the first DNF in the Singapore Grand Prix, Alt Maverick has joined us in the booth. Not entirely sure what happened to you there. How did you end up exiting the race?
I'm gonna go with that. It's because I flattened a part of the USB cable to my wheel.
Okay.
I think I might have shorted the wires there, so I got a second one that hopefully I'll be able to connect for next week, but...
Oh no! Jinnit's had a huge moment here. He was struggling for grip, got alongside Fuzz, I believe, and Jinnit... He's just left as in the moment that he's been crashed. That's a little peculiar. Yeah, so Beck... He was trying to recover, and then Beck was trying to squeeze through, and Jinnit just kind of smacked him while he was trying to stabilize his car, and then went round and into the wall. So Jinnit's obviously a little frustrated with that. I really don't think there was much Beck could have done there. He's just driving through, and Jinnit happened to hit him, so it's just kind of bad luck. DRS enabled again, so obviously it's not... Oh, there goes Beck into the barrier. Oh, my Lord. That has got to be a safety car. That surely is a safety car now. Oh, man, that is going to really mix things up, because if we do get a safety car... I don't think we're going to, though. It probably should have come out by now, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, the car's parked on the racing line, so...
Yeah, that's
really
a safety car.
we're not getting one.
Yeah, it's a safety car all day, but Beck, I don't know if he was just caught out by the throttle application as the VSC ended. Like, he just seemed to, like, he got too happy on the throttle on the straight there, and the car just rotated into the wall on him. I really have no idea. It was just bizarre, but no safety car there, which all day, really, that's a safety car moment. I don't understand why the game makes the decisions, but Scavney is probably the closest guy to making a move right now. Actually, Sam is applying some pressure to T-Money at the back, but Scavney closing in on Dernia, or perhaps trying to hang on to Dernia, I should say. So Seabass decided to pit. I guess he was banking on that being a safety car. There's a lot of peculiar moments tonight. I don't know if Zenith's even back yet in that car, if it's AI controlled or not at this stage, but that car has pit for fresh mediums, which is, I guess with all the damage he had, there was not much of a choice, but Sam and T-Money going wheel to wheel here. Sam looking for a way through, sends it down I guess it's the outside line here, but he's well ahead by the time he actually has to take the corner, so Sam gets that move done. T-Money struggling a little bit tonight. I couldn't recall if he hates this track or likes it. I think he was hoping for some serious wet weather, not this light drizzle. It does look like it's letting up a touch as well, so could be a dry race by the time it's all said and done. Well, the lap times are much slower than in qualifying, so obviously it is having some impact on the grip.
Yeah, it was going to be a full wet race. There wasn't any just overcast or even the moon symbol, so we're going to get all rain to the end, and I don't think anybody really likes these conditions. I mean, racing on slicks.
No.
On wet conditions, it's just horrible.
There's a move. Dernia goes by Sharpshooter. Great little move there. And look at the tank slapper there trying to get it under control, and Sharpshooter dives back down the inside. So Sharpshooter gets that place back. Nice helicopter shot of that battle there. Dernia going for a move, but just did not have the grip to actually secure it. But yeah, as you said, these slick tires in these conditions, very tricky. Obviously, nobody going as fast as they could be. Looks like we are getting a little bit of spray kicking up now. So perhaps the track just dampening a little more as we see guys starting to visibly struggle. Perhaps we could end up on wet tires by the time it's all said and done, or at least inters. Because it's pretty consistent rain, but if it doesn't get any heavier, I don't really see how the racing line will get wet at this point. Dernia really struggling there with the power. He cannot get any throttle into those wheels. Oh, and Sharpshooter into the wall there. So Sharpshooter now going to have absolutely no front grip.
Yeah, it's wing damage too. Front right.
I would say this.
Gone.
Yeah, I would say this rain is getting worse. Because it seems like a lot of guys are really struggling for grip. At least these two were struggling quite heavily. Let's take a look at this Scavney Fuzz battle. See how these guys are faring in these conditions. Looks like Fuzz trying to hang on to Scavney at the moment. Just just starting to lose touch a little bit, not quite putting the pressure on that he needs. And then there's Sam here, putting some pressure on Eric, and he's got Seabass right on his tail, so quite a little scrap going on here, actually. We got T-Money and Doth tagged onto the pack of this little train. Fuzz is starting to reel Scavney in a little bit now, too. And Eric into the pits. Eric on fresh hard, so he's gone into the pits. Why has he done that? Is he perhaps going for wets now? Not entirely sure. Maybe he had damage. I could see it potentially being a crossover point of the race. Eric has actually left the session, and he's gone on to medium tires, so I don't know if something's come up maybe. He's dove into the pits to leave. Zenith has rejoined. So I wonder if Jinnit, and he's left again. So I wonder if Jinnit had some kind of issue in that moment, where like maybe he had that moment driving the car because his internet dropped or something. Like the game just put in some odd input. George Russell's gone to fresh mediums here, obviously thinking he's not going to get to the end. Probably has the gap to even do it. Dernier, is he going to get George Russell here? That would be huge for Dernier. Very helpful for his teammate Joshua out front. Yes, he does get him. But George Russell carrying a lot more pace than any other driver out here tonight, and we should see him get by relatively easy, I would think. And Fuzz really not letting Scavney get away either. Closing very quickly here, sort of biding his time. He's going to make a move late down the inside. Fuzz sends it, but Scavney has that covered off, it looks like. Scavney quite wide to defend that. Fuzz potentially around the outside here. No. Going for a switchback, though. Fuzz gets on that throttle just early enough, but Scavney has enough juice to cover it off. Dernier's out. Ooh. Dernier has lost it, and he's into the barricade there. Dernier has crashed out. So Dernier out of this Grand Prix after putting in a pretty excellent drive overall, and you know, George Russell was pretty close to him. I wonder if there was maybe some contact that put him there. Still no safety car, though. What a absolute... I mean, I really don't want a safety car because it's really going to drag this race out longer than I would hope. But, man, I'm surprised we haven't had one yet. Like, that's 2 crashes right in the racing, like, path of racing anyways. Racing a line and a corner that you can easily crash. Could you send Jinnit an invite? I don't think...
Yeah.
Oh, I can actually. That wasn't a thing before. You weren't able to send invites when you were spectating, I remember. I guess they've changed that. I haven't had to try that in a long time, so... Fuzz putting some pressure on T-Money going by Seabass, who I think is ghosted here again. Seabass is back in the car, actually, so he's been overtaken there by T-Money. And Doth, obviously with that early incident. Doth looked amazing in qualifying, and he's just, since the beginning of the race, just been struggling around the back of the field. Whereas Puff's gone up into P8 now, so Puff seems to have recovered from the early incidents. Whereas Doth's still struggling a little bit. I'm not sure. It was maybe Puff with the overcut stayed out a little longer in clear air, whereas Doth was in traffic right away. Maybe why. But yeah, Doth has gone through on Seabass, who was ghosted again. So Jinnit has retired now. I guess maybe he just wanted to get his car off the road. Maybe he was done anyway and just wanted to get his car parked so it wasn't driving around in people's way. Not entirely sure. Oh, Doth's gone around. Yeah, he's spun it. There he goes. So Doth's struggles continue. Man, Doth was on a really good run lately, and even in qualifying had a really competitive time up in P2, and this race has just absolutely fallen apart for him. He's nowhere. He's gone and spun again. He's an entire pit stop behind his teammate at this stage. Yeah, really rough night for Doth. Pushin's going into the pits. What kind of tires he going for? Goes for the hard tires, so he'll be going to the end. Joshua will be going to the end. Supposedly, I mean, we expect unless the weather shifts dramatically. Fuzz just has not found a way by Scavney. He's been right on his gearbox for multiple laps, though. And Scavney just doing a nice job putting his car in the right place.
I think it's that, and mostly Fuzz hasn't been saving in ERS. He's at about 30%, and
Yeah.
it hasn't really changed since we started watching this battle, so I think he's just got to stop using it for 2 or 3 laps and let it charge up, and then go at him, because he's got the pace. I mean, it's 6 laps new tires,
Yeah.
so the tire advantage is there. He's just got to wait a little bit.
I mean, Scabney really at some point is going to have to pit, is he not? Like, those mediums aren't going to go to the end, so... I wonder if Fuzz maybe consider pitting and going for an undercut, because he'll get Scabney for sure if he does that. But where would Fuzz come out? He would come out just ahead of Fusions, I guess. He'd have actually some pretty clear air, so Fuzz could pull an undercut here. I don't think Fuzz can get to the end on these mediums either, so if he's going to have to pit anyway, maybe he should consider it now. Or do you think that Scabney may be holding out for that changeover point where the wet tires actually become viable?
It's hard to say. Scavney did start on these tires, so he's going to have to make a change to a different compound.
Yeah.
Fuzz might have another set of mediums he can go to if he wants to pit.
I would say if I was Fuzz that if you don't get by on this lap, maybe go pit. Because I would think the softs aren't even really viable in these conditions. Here comes Fuzz. I think he's going to get it done here. He's as close as he's been. Down the inside for Fuzz, and no, Scabney just late on those brakes, able to cover it off. So Scabney, despite with the worn tires, is just able to brake later and somehow keep that place. But yeah, Fuzz, I don't think softs, like extending to soft window isn't necessarily an option. Because the softs don't seem to hold their temperature very well, and obviously they didn't even last very long anyways, did they? Probably about 5-6 laps max. So, I mean, Scabney's, I don't know. On the contrary to that, though, Scabney could end up in traffic if he pits. I don't know. It's really hard to say. Because if Scabney pits first and Fuzz has to pit anyway, then Scabney surely is going to undercut Fuzz, and he'll get well ahead, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, if Fuzz is thinking he's going to have to stop again, I'm definitely going to pull the trigger. Sharpshooter is right on their tail now, too, and he's going to really throw a wrench in the gear. So, Fuzz should probably dive in now, because he's going to get stuck behind even another car now.
You know how much time Sharpshooter's made up since he's pit as well.
Yeah, Fuzz
just shows
pits.
how
Great,
fast.
great decision in my opinion for Fuzz to pit there, because Scabney is going to be. Whoa, there goes Sharpshooter. He's drifting around the exit there and gets by Scabney in the same motion. So this should work out for Fuzz. Yeah, Fuzz pitting again. I think he's going to have a nice window to slot into. Nice fresh mediums, and Scabney's going to be struggling on those older tires. There's no way Scabney's going to be able to get the gap he needs. Fuzz on those fresh mediums surely will. Although, I don't know, maybe without the temperature, he might actually lose time.
They'll take about a lap to warm up. I mean, you don't even have to weave on your out laps, so
no.
let's warm up the tires here.
We'll see if Fuzz has enough grip to actually make up some time here. His gap to Scabney is, at the moment, 24 seconds. I've wagered it was about a 25-second pit stop here. I figured he'd get out in front of Fusions, and he did, so I think that's kind of the window we're looking at here is 24 seconds, and it's evaporating quickly for Scabney. If you look at that, we've got it down to 22 seconds already. So Scabney has to pit here. He has to react to this. Surely Fuzz will pass him at this stage. Well, Scabney doesn't have penalties, so that's fairly important. Let's take a look at those, actually. We'll take a look at these penalties real quick. Scabney with 0, Fuzz with 3, so that's fair. Fuzz probably make up 3 seconds here, but with the time penalty, could lose the place to Scabney. Does Scabney pit? No! Scabney stays out, so Scabney either banking on a safety car or inters or possibly the softs, but I think the softs are a death sentence here. They just didn't seem to have the temperature even on lap 2 or 3 when they should have been in their prime.
Yeah, I mean he lost 7 seconds on that lap to Sharpshooter. He's lost another second and a half in just the first 5 corners.
Yeah,
so
Fuzz
I
is
don't
down
know
to
why he
18.
didn't pit.
18 seconds the gap now. So Fuzz has made up 6 seconds on Scabney in 1 lap there. Scabney in big trouble here. He had to pit that lap. He had to react to Fuzz at the very least, and I mean he needs to pit regardless. So why on earth is he still out there? Unless he has some crystal ball and can foresee some safety car or a torrential downpour, I have no idea why he's left himself out there this long. He's pretty much thrown away a chance to fight for a podium here, I think.
I think Josh and Fuzz, they have 3 seconds each, so on that little wheel spin out of the hairpin doesn't help, but he's going to have few lap fresher tires. I think if he can just get within 3 seconds of those 2 drivers, he should be back in 3rd, but
yeah, that's
it's
true.
a tough ask when you're staying out this long.
Yeah, and are the mediums going to be that much fresher than Fuzz at this stage? I don't know. You know, like, the window really is closing. He needs to come in now, and I don't, like, if he's going to go onto the softs, I think he's making a mistake. I don't think he'll have the pace he needs. Softs are arguably a worse tire in this situation than the mediums, even though you would think on paper they're faster. I know he stays out again, so maybe banking on that safety car, which, to be fair, we probably should have had to already.
Mm-hmm.
So we could see another one by the time it's all said and done here. Or we could, sorry, not another one, but actually the one we should have had in the first place. We should see probably see another incident as tires wear and people become a little more desperate. And we don't really see the gaps, though. Like, there's really no one close to another driver at the moment that it's really worth doing anything silly or desperate that would potentially put you in the wall or cause a safety car situation. So, I mean, Scabney really, unless he is expecting it to dry up more and then the softs might actually work, that's potentially the only thing I could think that could actually pay off here.
I think he would really only have to get to about lap 25 or 26 to really think about the softs.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the exit he just had there. That was horrendous. Like, Fuzz is within 10 seconds of him again. Like, he had no grip on the exit there. Like, Scabney is, Joshua's taken like a second and a half out of him in the last 3 corners. His tires are done.
And I mean, Josh is on the hards, a tire that you would never really want to be on in wet conditions, but
yeah. Scabney, the only guy who has not stopped yet. No penalties yet either, so that's fairly impressive. He must know his tires are dead, but yet he stayed out again. I mean,
he's got to be nearing puncture territory.
Yeah, he's got no grip. Joshua's just eating the time out of him. It's not even close. I mean, Fuzz is going to be by him by the end of the next lap if he stays out again. 6 seconds a lap, roughly, he's taken out of him since the pit window. I mean, Fuzz was, what, 24 seconds behind? He's now 6.5. So, on his 3rd lap since his pit stop, Fuzz has taken nearly 20 seconds out of Scabney. Really question that decision. Scabney absolutely struggling for grip here. Here comes Mr. Joshua on those fresher hards. Mr. Joshua, though, has to be said, really poor qualifying session, but he has had an excellent race, and he's potentially staring down a podium here. Should be his first podium in a very long time. Just has to get by Scavney, which shouldn't be too difficult. It'll be Scavney struggling out on the corner exits here. Really, I would think if Scavney doesn't pit here, he'd get him down the next DRS zone. Maybe not the pit straight, but the one after. And this section of the track here too is a potential overtake spot now because Scavney's grip is so poor, he's not going to be able to make these corners as well. I have to say, he's driving fairly well given how bad his tires are. Scavney's gone in. He's got to be going with soft tires, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably softs.
Yeah, we'll see if he actually can get the grip or the heat into them at this stage. But Fuzz on for a P4 currently, and that's a really nice result for Fuzz. And well, actually, will this put Fusions ahead of Scavney as well? Fusion's carrying an absurd amount of penalties though, so not entirely sure he'll keep that. Scavney coming out behind Ryan. Yes, he is. And behind Sam as well. So now at a track that's not particularly easy to overtake at, Scavney is going to have some overtaking to do to make up a few of these places that he... I mean, he even had Fuzz covered, I would have thought, if he had pit the lap after. So he's gone from a potential P4 at the minimum P5 to potentially being stuck in P8 here. Here comes Sam and Ryan side by side. Sam trying to get that move done. Ryan covering the inside line nicely there. And Sam cannot find a way through. Doth is out. Doth has lost the car, I believe, on track, and he's out of the session. No, he's actually gone into the pits. Yeah,
it's pit lane.
Yep. Sorry, I just thought I saw you.
Gun, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I thought I saw a yellow dot on track where the flag was, but this is the orange one. That was the orange one of Eric. So 12 drivers left. Almost everybody scoring points tonight. Scavney has closed up nicely to the back of Sam here. He's going to have these fresh, soft tires. Hopefully he's got the temperature into them, and he looks like he does because he just sails right by Sam there. So Scavney, this might work out for him, especially with those... Well, actually, no. I was going to say, the softs seem to be working, so we'll give him credit there, but he waited so long to put them on that he's lost any gap that he could possibly recover, I believe. Like, he might get back to Fusions, maybe. But he's not going to get back to Fuzz. And... Sorry, hold the phone here, but Fuzz is on the podium again. Mr. Joshua seems to have had some kind of moment. Or is Fuzz just rapid on these mediums? I thought Joshua had a podium pretty much locked up there. I think he's made a mistake somewhere. How close was Fuzz to Joshua before? Do you remember?
I honestly cannot remember.
I think Joshua must have made a mistake. I didn't think Fuzz was terribly close. We'll see. I guess we'll just watch the pace there and see how quickly Fuzz gets away, because maybe Fuzz was just that much quicker. So Scavney gets by Ryan now as well, so up to P6. Should potentially be getting I would think he gets the fastest lap of the race at this stage as well. Maybe not. George Russell pretty quick up there. He's almost got 2 pit stops in hand there. No, he does now. Sharpshooter's pit. So Sharpshooter looks like he's pit to go for the fastest lap because he has the gap to Fuzz. Although I'm not sure that was the greatest idea because Fuzz is kind of flying. Yeah, Fuzz going to get the position here, and his tires aren't that much older than Sharpshooter's. So, going for the fastest lap, but he's given up track position to do so. Fusions, 12 seconds of penalties. He's going to fall behind Scavney at this point, so Scavney's already got that place. penalty-wise. So Scabney looking at P5 instead of potentially P2. He'll be questioning his own decision there by the end of the race. I'm not sure he's going to get much further than P5 at this stage. I mean, if the safety car had come out, he would have got a really cheap pit stop and been laughing, right? But because he would have been so much closer to the front and on the best tires, but it just really didn't pan out for him. So,
ooh, Sam's in the wall.
Sam into the wall. That's going to put potentially Puff ahead of him, or Sam just Sam's got some wing damage, I presume. Puff's got some ground to make up to get that place back, but for the moment, Sharpshooter is right on the tail of Fuzz, so we should see a proper duel here for P2 right down to the wire. See how much, if Sharpshooter just has that much more grip. He was a ways up the road on Fuzz, so he probably has a bit more pace. Yeah, Fuzz moving over to cover that inside line. Does cover it off nicely and then moves back across onto the racing line for the corner. So Fuzz doing a nice job defending there. Let's ride on board with Sharpshooter here and see if he can find a way through down this DRS straight. Doff leaves the session after his retirement in the pits. Here comes Sharpshooter going down the inside. Fuzz trying to cover, sorry, the outside. Fuzz trying to cover that inside. And Sharpshooter through, so just the decision to pit pays off. We'll see if he can get himself the fastest lap to try and secure an extra point here. Good move there from Sharpshooter, though. It's looking like a pretty solid P2 for him at this point. You see the penalties on the right side of the grid order there. Everybody on 3 except for George Russell, Fusions, and Sam, all in the double digits. Sam with a lot of penalties there, so Puff's going to get by him easily. Puff looking like he's on for P8 at the moment. Sam potentially even dropping to P10. T-Money should get him as well. And Seabass and Eric out of the points at the moment, way out of the points. So they'll be struggling to get back anywhere near a point-paying position at this stage, even with Sam's 17 seconds of penalties. Shout out to T-Money, Seabass, Scabney, the only drivers in the field without penalties at the moment. Keeping it clean. Make their mothers proud. That's the only real it's the only real line I've come up with tonight. Been a bit of a slow race here in the last 10 laps. Not too much wheel-to-wheel action, so I guess what are we looking at? Let's find the most interesting battle we have at the moment.
I think George Russell's about to lap Scabney. I think that's going to be about a really interesting thing right now.
Yeah, Sam's gone into the pits, so he's even worse spot with the penalties he's got there. Let's take a look at these time penalties. So Fusion's got 12 seconds. Scabney to Ryan's 19 seconds behind, plus 3 seconds of penalties. So I was going to say maybe Ryan's gap battle to Fusion's important, but I think it's a little too much at the moment. Puff's battle with T-Money actually very important here. Puff with a 3-second penalty, T-Money 4.2 behind, so let's ride with Puff for a bit and then we'll check in on T-Money, and this is a very important gap battle for a couple more points in the bag on the season. That was something I was going to segue into, and I guess Puff moving up from Tier 2 along with the former Tier 2 champion from last season. That would be yourself, Mr. Alt Maverick, joins us in the booth tonight. How's the season been for you so far? Like, how have you been faring? Was it a little tougher than you were expecting when you moved up, or were you expecting to be fighting for points week in, week out?
I wasn't really expecting it to be, I wouldn't say bad, but I think just upsetting, mostly because some of the instances that I've had, they weren't really my fault, or it was just some, something that really shouldn't have happened, and qualifying's not been the greatest for me this season, which I think that's that's upsetting me the most, is that I'm outside the top 10. And, some of the alt strats are even better, but it's just, I caught up in incidents, and then I can't pull off those alt strats. And I'm finishing right where I qualified, so... but I've had, like, 2 5th-place finishes, and I think, like, a 4th place, so it's getting better, but obviously missing last week, and then not even making 6 corners this week. It's definitely, it's hurting on the inside a little bit, but I mean, I'm league racing with some of the best guys out there, so I really can't complain.
Yeah, and I think that's something important to keep in your perspective as well. Like, obviously you were pretty dominant last season in Tier 2, and it was obviously you needed a little bit more of a challenge, and then that's the thing I find with Tier 1 is there's really no room for error or incidents, anything really, whether it's your fault or not. Once you fall behind, it's just so hard to make up the time. You look at, like, Doth, like, had that one moment at the beginning of the race, and he clearly had pace. He qualified P2. And one moment at the start of the race, and he's just absolutely nowhere for half the race. So it's super easy to fall behind in Tier 1. The mistakes and the incidents, they cost a lot more here. Tier 2, there's a lot of times in Tier 2 where something had gone wrong for you, but you were able to overcome it and still score at least a nice haul of points, or potentially even win the race still sometimes. But yeah, absolutely, it's a lot tougher in Tier 1, and I agree with your sentiment there as far as qualifying goes, because something I really struggled with last season, you saw how many points I scored last season. I even won 3 races, but how often did I qualify in the top 10? It was like, qualifying was absolutely killing me last year, and what that tends to do is it puts you in a bad position for the race. You have a lot more overtaking to do. You're more likely to get caught up in an incident from a driver behind running into the back of you, or while you're trying to make those overtakes, or on the first lap, there's a lot more bunching up that happens, and you can, two drivers that are 3 positions ahead of you can collide, and then by the time they've careered sideways, and you've come up to the corner that they've made contact in, you're suddenly caught up in it. It's just that what happens, and you're qualifying in the top 5, these things just don't tend to happen as often. So qualifying a really important aspect of league racing, and something I've struggled with a lot, and like as you mentioned, you've been struggling with it in Tier 1 this year, and it does put you in a really precarious position for the race, and ends up leading to quite a difficult night out there for most drivers if they're not qualifying inside the top 10. Just a lot. There's a lot more weight to qualifying in Tier 1 than there is in Tier 2, and something you definitely want to be improving on. But this is the final lap. It's George Russell crossing the finish line to win the Singapore Grand Prix, getting a stranglehold on the championship. Does not falter one bit tonight. No bottles, and Sharpshooter should be coming home comfortably in P2 here. Nice drive from him. Pit late to go for fastest lap, I presume, and ended up getting by Fuzz and building up quite a margin to him as well. So Sharpshooter, I think this is his 2nd race with us, does a really nice job here tonight, getting himself a P2. Nice haul of points, 18, potentially 19 if he got that fastest lap. Just get him across the finish line here. Those fireworks, he's just coming through the bridge right now, so he's almost there. Sharpshooter. His second race in Zenith Online Racing. And he's going to cross the line in P2. A good result. Looked like he was on for a podium last week, and this week he finally secures that podium that eluded him last week. And a really nice job from him securing P2. Fuzz taking over a full-time drive again here in Tier 1, and podium last week in Spa. And he's got another one here tonight. So Fuzz takes P3 here at the Singapore Grand Prix. Excellent drive for the AlphaTauri. Joshua, close to a podium tonight, but not quite there. He's going to cross the line in P4 for the Ferrari boys. It's a nice drive from Mr. Joshua as well. And that is it for the Singapore Grand Prix. That has been round 14 of the Tier 1 group here at ZOR. We will get the interviews underway shortly. Just add these guys to the party. Maverick, are you interested in leading the questions for the interviews?
Sure. I'll go ahead and
yeah, don't sound too excited. I mean, if you don't want to, it's fine. But,
no, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, all right. I mean, these are your direct racing rivals, so it's your chance to pick their brains, right?
Yeah.
My questions are pretty
the psychological advantage.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be like, well. You guys may have scored points, but I am now controlling the podium questions. So this is me. It was all your master plan. Crash out in the first few corners, so that you could get into the interview booth and psychologically damage your opponents for future races. Not a bad plan. All right. Let's add these guys to the party.
I'll run through the finishing results real quick. George Russell or Nathan Lando, whoever you want to call him, wins. Sharpshooter P2, Fuzz P3, and then Josh Scavany, Fuzz, Ryan T, Money Puff, and Seabass all picking up points from 4th to 10th respectively, and then Sam M, Eric, Doth, Jinnit, Durnia, Beck, Zem, and unfortunately myself not picking up points tonight. And that has been the hour and only 57 minutes.
Oh, only. All right. I had to leave the invite menu because people wouldn't have heard you. They're not going to be able to hear you now because I'm getting the invites out. But yeah, I jumped back in quick because I did need to show those race results because they use them for penalties and scoring and whatnot. So yeah, probably tell me to stop drinking. Quit drinking on the job, you bum. Oh yeah, Rust is out now. Better look at that. Where the hell are we going? Fuzz. I don't have George Russell or Nathan or Orlando or whatever his name is now. I also don't have the other guy, so now I gotta get him. Sharp. What is it? Sharp 201 shooter or something like that? There he is. Okay, add him. I think I got Fuzz and Sharpshooter. Yeah, there's Fuzz.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to the longest race of the season.
Oh boy.
It's already 9:30.
Yeah, I genuinely don't even have the energy to make snide remarks today. I'm just tired.
Something is wrong. Someone's poisoned Fuzz's drink.
That was stressful as fuck.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, Maverick, if you want to take us away, since we're running a little late already given the length of the race, if you want to start with Fuzz, you can go ahead and start interviewing him, and we'll wait for the other guys to get in here.
Yeah, Fuzz, it was like Becca said, it was probably most likely going to be the longest race of the season unless we have full wet race in Tier 2, 3, or the EU tier. Just how difficult was it out there for you to keep it on track and for you to keep it and just keep it pointing the right direction and to come home a P3. Just how difficult was that?
It was very difficult. So yeah, just like the fact that the car had pretty much no front end grip. It was so understeady going into the corners, kept locking up. I was scared for my life. I think I nearly hit some walls twice, like in different parts of the track, just through locking up. And yeah, it like needed a lot of concentration to just not bin it and lose whatever I had until that point. Like I think lap 28, I had a massive moment. I lost 4 seconds in turn 3. That was just by going really wide. I would have taken, honestly, we surprisingly didn't have a single safety car. I would have taken a last minute safety car in this one. Would have beaten Nathan at least on penalties, I think. Yeah, he probably would have pulled out 15 seconds in one lap anyway.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. So George Russell, a win yesterday and now a win tonight.
The artist formerly known as Lando Norris, formerly known as Ariel Nathan, formerly known as Prince, formerly known as the artist. This man. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Codemasters do not love my accounts.
No. It's just so confusing. Like, people tune in. If we have a consistent audience every week, they'll be like, this guy's leading the championship? I thought that other guy was leading the championship. The other guy the week before was leading.
On my other account, it just doesn't let me join lobbies. I click on the invite, and then it just sits on like the joining session screen forever, even though it says I'm in the lobby, which, yeah, doesn't make sense. But
no. Sorry, Maverick, go ahead.
That's fine.
I had to get my little dig in.
So I asked you this yesterday, but you're leading the EU tier by about 40 or something points, and I think you're nearly about the same here in tier 1. Do you think you have one hand on the trophy in this championship, like you do in the EU tier?
Even more not in this one compared to EU, because I think it's. Let me just double check, but I believe it's Britain next, which
it is.
Okay, so yeah, Britain I feel confident about, but the last 3 races I do not feel confident about at all. Because Canada, I know for a fact, Packer is just genuinely faster, no matter what. I could pull out the lap of my life and I'd still be slower. France, I don't know. I think it's very tight. And then Monza, I know he's quicker again. So, yeah, I kind of after Britain, it's going to kind of be. It will depend on Britain. If Britain goes well, then I can kind of just try and aim for P2, I guess, in the last 3 races. But if Britain goes bad, then it could be a bit this could be a bit interesting. I think if after Canada, I can get it. So I think it's 46 points at the moment. So win after Britain, that'll be 53, and then.
I like the confidence.
Yeah.
But even if you finish second in all those races that you think you're slower than Packer at, you're still a 46 points.
Well, I know me, and I got 15 seconds of penalties tonight. Canada, I don't even want to think about how many seconds of penalties they get around Canada.
Disqualified.
France should be fine, and then Monza, I don't know if it depends, but yeah, France. Canada and Italy, I'm definitely slower than Packer. France is tight, and Britain, I hope that I'm quicker. I believe I am. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's definitely not over. Because like we saw tonight, obviously one of us could miss a race, and then it's that's just 25 points gained like that. So, and obviously we've both had our incidents this season, So, yeah, it's definitely not over, but I think it's going to be quite close.
All right. Well, I don't think Sharpshooter actually joined us, did he?
No.
No.
Okay. So let's wrap things up. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Maverick, but
It was your fault for Abu Dhabi crash.
well, let's just let's compare to the incident we saw last week. Okay, we saw a driver move to the left and push someone into the wall. All right. In this situation between you and I
Here we
didn't
go.
move. I didn't change directions. You went on the outside of the track, and I just kept my line, and you ran out of room.
Oh my god.
You know, it was deemed not my fault by the stewards, which I think pretty much clears me of all guilt. I knew you were going to hit the wall, but it wasn't my job to make room for you. It was your job to find room. So, anyways. Oh, sure.
There he is.
Last second. There you go, Maverick. You got one more question in there, and you can take a dig at me.
Oh man. Okay. Let me regain myself real quick.
Yeah.
So Sharpshooter, you finished P2. I don't actually know where you finished last week. I think you were here last week.
I think it was like P13, P12.
Okay.
Close to a podium, though.
Yeah, close.
Yeah,
No,
really
he
close.
had the pace. He had he had the pace. It was just like some incident happened. I can't remember.
Yeah, like I crashed every lap.
Oh, well then.
Okay. So obviously it was really tricky conditions, and when it rains and you're on the slick tires like this game makes us do sometimes, you were on the hards at some points, and you were just rapid. So I knew you were going to finish up at the front. Did you think you were going to have that much pace on the hards, or did you kind of just that was the strategy you had to play out, or what was going through your mind this whole race?
Seriously, I just wanted to not crash. It was the first thing. I'm sorry if I misspeak sometimes because I can write in English, but it's not my first language, so speaking it's a little bit hard. It was to not crash. I just wanted that though. So getting the pace that I had in the hard tires was just luck, basically.
Well, you made perfect sense, so don't worry about English not being your first language. Obviously, I understood exactly what you were trying to say there. So, one thing I did notice was that the softs were. It seemed like at the beginning of the race, maybe people just couldn't quite get the temps into them. It looked like there was. Maybe there was a little more moisture on the track at that stage, because the softs at the end looked like a very good tire, but at the beginning of the race they looked really bad. So is that something you noticed as well at the beginning of the Grand Prix, and you thought maybe the hards would hold up better in the wet conditions, just maintaining their carcass temperature a little bit better?
Yeah, I think it's because at the start of the race, nobody knew how the grip was in every corner. I remember going through the below the bridge and the third sector.
Yeah.
And I just got completely the corner after because it was dry, so you had a ton of grip, and you just didn't know it at the time. So when you were racing against someone already behind you, and you're trying not to crash because you don't know how much grip there is, just you can get the base like Nathan did. He just pulled away like nothing, like it was dry for him.
Yeah. I agree. He was rapid there. I think Nathan had almost 2 pit stops in hand by the end of the Grand Prix. He could have pit twice and been like, oh,
yeah,
I'll go for
I was
fastest lap
wishing
on mediums.
when I got the fastest lap, I was wishing he tried to get fastest lap and crashing the try. So
yeah.
So I get P1, but it didn't happen. He didn't fall for it.
No. Did you get the fastest lap of the race, though? You know that for sure?
Yeah, at the end by
Nice.
3:10, I think.
Nice. So you did get that accomplished then. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
19 points in the bag. Like I said last week, it looked like you were right up there. You had pace for a podium, so I'm not surprised that you're here again this week.
Yeah, I was expecting top 5, but not really a podium this weekend because I know I have the pace at least
Yeah.
on time trial, but we spoke before. It's different time trial or quali pace than race pace, so
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't expecting anything, but I got still a podium, so it was nice.
That's good though. That's what we want to see. The more guys we can add to the mix that are capable of scoring podiums in Tier 1, like the better it makes the tier, right? Like it's ultra competitive. You know, you see every week in qualifying, basically from like 3rd or 4th down to like 15th or 16th, we have, you know, a second or even less sometimes covering the deltas there. So obviously a really competitive tier. Glad to have you a part of it. Congrats to Nathan once again for securing another win. Congrats to Fuzz again for another podium. It's been on a really good run lately and looking pretty sharp out there. So I'm assuming we'll probably see you again before the season's said and done. The way things have been going.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
It's
sounds good to
basically
me.
a habit now, so.
Yeah, exactly. You know, once you get that momentum rolling. The thing is, though, like, you know, Doth had the momentum and it looked like he was on for another podium today and it just fell apart on him. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's very easy for things to just unravel in racing and it's hard to overcome things like what happened tonight to Doth. So, we'll see how he bounces back next week and we'll probably catch at least one of you guys or maybe two or all three of you again next week in the podium interviews. Maverick, hopefully you make it back here on merit rather than crashing yourself out and begging to come into the party.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding, man. You did a great job tonight. It was nice to have you with me. Definitely appreciate you helping out because it's a pretty long Grand Prix to try and carry by yourself. I think my voice would have been shot by the end if you didn't pop in and share some of your input with us. So appreciate you stopping by. And you're more than welcome to join again if that ever happens again. Ideally, I'd like to see you out on track fighting for some points if I had it my way. So thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody tuning in. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching video on demand, you can subscribe and get live notifications. We race 4 times a week now, not 3. 4 times a week. So a Tier 1, obviously, Monday nights goes 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday nights, we have the Tier 3 squad. It's a new tier. There's only a few races left. Very, very brief season, but they'll be reseeding that and running a full calendar next year for Season 6. And then, obviously, Tier 2, as you've become accustomed to, runs Thursday night, 8 p.m., and the EU tier will run Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time. You can catch them all live here on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to get the notifications. We have a massive roster of commentators. I'm not even entirely sure who does what or when or if there's a schedule, but every race gets broadcast, so keep an eye out for the next one, and we'll catch you next week for the next race here in Tier 1. This is our biggest signing off. Have a great night.